Hey guys, Brendan Morrison here from Real West Coast, and I just had the most epic day of tuna fishing. It was a solo mission, and it was absolute chaos on the boat. I give you a step-by-step guide on how to be successful chasing albacore tuna off the west coast of Vancouver Island. Check out this video, and I hope you get some pointers on how to be successful on the water catching albacore tuna. He's like 8 feet out of the water. Oh my goodness, here we go. I don't even know, is this real life right now? Whoa, look at him, right on the surface. Oh my goodness. Holy cow. When heading out for albacore tuna, there are a couple critical things that you need to consider before heading offshore. The number one thing for me is safety, either going with a buddy boat or sharing your coordinates of where you're going to be fishing with people on shore so they can stay in contact with you. These albacore tuna typically hang out in water temperature around that 60-degree mark to 65 degrees, and they really like temperature breaks. So if you can find like kind of a hard line in the water where that temperature is breaking and the water is starting to look very bluish, that's a great place to start fishing. And then activity, whether it's bird activity in the air, or sometimes you can even visually spot the tuna when you're running out depending on water conditions for the day. And sometimes you'll even see them porpoising right out of the water. So those are a few things that I think are critical to look for when you're heading out offshore for a day of tuna fishing. So we're just trying to get set up here just outside of Clayoquot Canyon here. There's some tuna around, so we're gonna try and do a little solo fish, which is a little crazy, but we're gonna try it. And you know, I don't know if I'm gonna get a full setup in today. Just with one person, there's a lot of action, a lot of rods in the water, and too much going on. So we're just gonna fish a couple attractors here, like a kind of like a little rabbit attractor. We've iced up this morning, so our holds are full of ice. Ice is probably the number one important thing when you're fishing tuna. You have to bleed these fish out, and then you have to get them on ice immediately after they've bled out for about 5 or 10 minutes. They're warm-blooded fish. If you don't take care of their meat, it spoils. So, you know, the water's nice and blue here, just 60.3 degrees. I just want to have a couple rods set up so I can get on the controls and drive the right speed we need to go, because typically you're driving about 5.5 to 6 knots, so about, you know, 6 to 7.5 miles an hour for these fish. Right, they move fast, these things. Like we're fishing these lures, they're called zookers. It's almost like a big hoochie with a bit of a weighted head, but they just splash along the top of the surface. Typically how you're gonna run your spread is, you know, if I was on my outriggers, you know, my farthest line's out or my furthest line's back. And as you move in, you shorten up your spread, okay? So my lines on the outside will be my furthest lines back. My lines on the inside will be my shortest lines back. Because when you're turning the boat, if they were shorter, they would cut in and cross your other lines all the time. So that's why you have your outside lines longer than your inside lines. You can see our water temperature right here. Obviously I'm not reading, I'm in a couple thousand feet of water, but our water temperature is 60.5, and nice blue water. We're right on the edge of a temperature change. So I got a good feeling that we're gonna find some fish today. Fish on, 2 on right away. Oh, now I gotta make a decision here. Which, oh great. Well, double header out of the gate here. This fish is smoking line. Geez, he's buckled right over. Well, there's a third one. Okay, this is where I gotta figure out lines. Oh, there it is, he just ate it. That's 4. We got 4 on, guys. All 4 of my rods are gone, so I'm gonna try and work this guy in first. Looked like he might have taken the biggest run, the most line. So, let's go. Now, work starts. That didn't take very long at all. I mean, it's a tug of war. It's difficult. Like, I slowed the boat right down, so I'm really helping myself out here, but typically you want to try and keep your speed and try and stay with the fish, but I mean, there's nothing I can do. Okay, I see some color here. We got one tuna. One tuna coming in. Thank you, tuna. I got these little Scotty butt ends. They really take a lot of pressure off. Kind of nice. These tuna here, I mean, their first run is epic, right? They just run, there's nothing you can do. Just cinch that drag down, and when you start fighting them, it's just basically just pump, reel down, pump, reel down. Let's try and keep that fish moving. See color in the water there, there's my tractor. Oh yeah, see what's happened here is I've got a little bit of a issue. Ooh. Oh, one just ate it right at the surface, right here. One just came up and ate that lure. It was sitting right in the wash. So now we got a double. I can see 2 tuna in the water right there. Come on, buddy. There's that. I just got to figure out that other tuna's right below him there. I just don't want that to get caught in the engine. Okay, I'm gonna pull this guy in as well. Okay. That one's still on. And if I get this one in, it'll be a small miracle. Okay. I haven't been drinking enough water lately. I feel like I'm cramping. Oh yeah. That's a nice fish. That's what I'm talking about right there. Is this real life right now? Oh my goodness. So take care of your fish here. We've landed a couple now. You know, usually I would have a bigger bucket on board, but I was traveling up the coast, so I didn't have my normal big bleed bucket. I usually put like a garbage can on the back deck, but I have these Yeti buckets right here. So basically these fish need to be cooled down. So what I like to do is just come right under their throat here, okay, and just cut that right through. That fish is bleeding out now. Keep them in there for a few minutes, about 5 minutes, and I'm gonna pack them right on ice, and we'll show you how to pack them on ice after we've finished bleeding them out, okay? So take care of your fish, right? You work hard for these things, you wanna be able to enjoy them, and you don't want, you know, if you're gonna take a resource like this, you don't wanna ruin it, right? I can't stand people who take things and waste things, so take care of your fish and enjoy it with your family and friends. It's awesome to eat several different ways. I mean, this is, you know, get this flash frozen, it's sashimi grade fish. These are young albacore, like 2-year-old albacore that come off the west coast here. So, you know, I know in tuna, a lot of people have this thought in their head that they have a lot of contaminants in them from being in the ocean a long time. But these fish are young 2-year-old fish. So, I mean, they're healthy, they're good to eat. You can can them, you can get them smoked, you can get them loined. So take care of your fish. You want to keep a clean boat anytime you're fishing, but especially tuna fishing. Like, you know, this Ultra Deck is awesome. It's super grippy. I normally fish in bare feet or some sandals, but I don't want to get too much blood on me today. But, you know, just so people don't slip, even though it's a grippy deck. But if you don't have this type of covering, decks can be a little bit slippier. So you don't want people falling when they're going to a rod or putting a fish away. So I always like to stay on top of it right away, right? And if you're fishing with multiple people, just let people know how you like to run your boat, right? Somebody can run the hose, somebody can scrub it. Like, look, we've got 9 tuna on board in a relatively short period of time, but I'd say it's a pretty tight looking ship right now. I think a clean ship is a fishy ship. Man, another one here. This rod's been on fire. I went down from fishing 4 to 3 just because 4 is a little bit hectic. I'm a reasonable man, but it was crazy. It's always a little tricky, you know, when you're coming in, you got your speed going, you got your engines running. Just be careful, right, with your fish. I know there's always a lot of talk sometimes when tuna fishing about leader length. I've fished with leaders as long as 20 feet. I've fished with leaders like 6 feet. I think it's all preference, really. Maybe some days the fish are a little more spooky than others and you need that longer leader, but today that hasn't really been the case. I think today we're sitting at about a good, I got about a 12-foot leader on there today. A commercial boat behind us, that's always a good sign, right? Like, these guys don't go out to catch 1 or 2 fish. These guys are out to make a living. So if you're in the same area as the commercial boats, you know you're in a pretty good spot. Oh, that didn't look awkward. Another nice fish, this one. All right, get him in. Welcome aboard. So guys, we've been into our fair share of fish today, and the daily limit for these tuna is 20, which is a pretty high number, right? It's tough to retain a lot more fish than that if you don't have the right ice situation on your boat and holds, etc. So I guess the big thing is just take what you're going to use, right? This is another awesome resource we have off the coast, and we want this here for a long period of time. And there's not a lot that's known about the albacore fishery. It's still kind of in its infancy. So like salmon fishing was years ago, everybody thought that was an unlimited resource, and fish have gotten smaller and dwindled in some places. So let's make sure we don't have that happen with our albacore tuna off the west coast. It's really hard to put into words. We've been fishing probably an hour and a half and we're exhausted. We're done. I think we've got enough fish for the day, and fish that we're going to have for our families and our friends to enjoy. So we're going to pull up here and just be grateful for the day. I mean, look at these fish. They're just absolute specimens, hey? Look at the dorsal. It's almost just translucent. And the pec fins here, how they tuck right in. Like, it's just anatomically incredible. They tuck that in, this built for speed. These fins here even, they articulate back and forth to help them steer their rudder. And they got that tail that's super powerful as well. So just an impressive species, and very, very thankful that we can enjoy these. So what a day, what a day. I've had so many tremendous experiences on the water. So many memorable days fishing with friends and family, and it's really hard to pick or choose a favorite time on the water. But this trip right here has got to be right near the top of the list. That was one of the most incredible days I've ever had on the water. Today was a solo mission, and I got to tell you, I was actually pretty nervous and a little bit intimidated to actually try it. And I don't even know what to tell you. Like, you can't even dream of having a day like this. It was beyond any dreams I've ever had of tuna fishing. It was absolutely epic.